Biological stasis is the default condition of human existence. You're born with a fixed physical limit, and no effort will push you past it. But when that physical limit is removed, growth becomes terrifyingly infinite. In the reality of solo leveling, this baseline is fixed. When humans awaken as hunters, their power is evaluated and locked into a hierarchy, categorizing them from E up to S rank. Once assigned, a hunter's mana capacity and physical output are permanent. A D-rank hunter will remain a D-rank hunter until the day they die, operating under a static power ceiling. Jin-Woo occupies the bottom of this hierarchy as the world's weakest E-rank hunter. But after a near-death experience inside an anomalous double dungeon, he wakes up infected by a unique digital interface known as the player system. The system operates on a rigorous set of mandatory daily parameters: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. These repetitive tasks artificially rewrite his skeletal structure and muscle mass. Looking at this diagram, the rigid bar chart represents the fixed, stagnant progression of standard hunters. Jin-Woo, however, is the single node breaking out into an upward curving exponential graph. The player system operates as a localized reality rewrite. By tying his biology to a mathematical formula, it guarantees eventual systemic supremacy. The first phase of his progression, from levels 1 through 27, functions on strict linear risk and reward economics. Inside an instant dungeon, Jin-Woo barely survives a battle against a massive swamp snake named Kasaka. The system mathematically rewards this near-death survival with high-tier assets, specifically a dagger crafted from Kasaka's fangs that inflicts bleed and paralysis. This radar chart maps the 5 core stat vectors provided for customization: strength, agility, sense, vitality, and intelligence. Instead of dumping points into raw power, Jin-Woo aggressively spikes sense and agility. He overcomes stronger opponents by overlapping high speed with his dagger's paralysis status effect. At this early stage, Jin-Woo survives exclusively by deploying asymmetrical combat vectors, systematically exploiting the blind spots of rigidly specialized predators. The mechanics of his progression shift abruptly between levels 40 and 61, triggered by a job change quest and a brutal, near-fatal encounter with the Knight Commander Igris. Surviving the ordeal unlocks the Necromancer class, rapidly promoting him to the Monarch of Shadows. This alters his core systemic function. He transitions from a solitary combat actor into an autonomous tactical engine. This diagram outlines the new architecture. Defeated enemy units are extracted directly from the battlefield and converted into friendly data assets. These shadow units operate independently, routing massive continuous experience points back to the central player node, creating a highly accelerated compounding loop. The Red Gate incident serves as the first undeniable proof of concept for this exponential phase. Trapped in a frozen tundra, a standard strike force of elite B and A rank hunters fractures and struggles to survive. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo clears the hostile environment seamlessly on his own. He slaughters the dominant ice bears and elves, absorbing their leaders into his ranks. The logic of the system scales perfectly. The more lethal the biological enemies he eliminates, the more robust his compounding digital assets become. By level 60, Jin-Woo ceases to function as an individual combatant. He is now a self-sustaining, exponentially expanding biological army. But infinite scaling inevitably generates systemic friction, which Jin-Woo confronts directly during his ascent through the Demon Castle between levels 61 and 100. This line graph maps the friction. The mathematical threshold to achieve a single level up spikes drastically, demanding massive kill volumes and flattening his progression curve into a grueling plateau. To offset this sheer numerical requirement, he commits weeks to liquidating immense populations of demons across dozens of castle floors, forcing his way upward through sheer volume. Reaching level 100 sets the stage for the Jeju Island raid, establishing a direct benchmark between his hard-fought systemic power and the planet's apex biological hunters. The world's elite, collaborative S-rank teams from Korea and Japan are systematically slaughtered by the Black Ant, an entity of pure biological superiority. Yet Jin-Woo stands untouched. His interface grants him systemic immunity to physiological panic and physical fatigue, entirely nullifying the insect's primary biological advantages. He executes the creature and extracts it. By acquiring the Black Ant as a shadow soldier, his personal tactical capability instantly eclipses the combined military strength of two nations. Level 100 marks the point where the planet's biological hierarchy is rendered irrelevant. The global hunter ranking system is now entirely obsolete. After passing level 100, standard dungeon monsters no longer yield the necessary XP to move the needle. The grind ceases to be effective. He is forced to confront a new class of opponents, systemic equals, entities like the Architect, who designed his interface, and the Monarch of Beginnings. Fighting these sovereigns requires an entirely different mechanical approach compared to the brute force dungeon bosses of his past. Looking at this data flow model, defeating a competing monarch acts as a concentrated data injection. It entirely bypasses previous mathematical friction, instantly filling his progression meter multiple times over. These high-value absorptions accelerate him rapidly through the 120s and 130s. This rapid accumulation of data triggers a planetary defense response. Recognizing his growth as an existential anomaly, the monarchs of Frost, Beast, and Plagues unite to eradicate him. During their catastrophic confrontation, Jin-Woo isolates and executes the Monarch of Plagues, triggering his final recorded system prompt, level 146. The system reaches its mathematical limits, forcing a violent conclusion that standard RPG mechanics cannot resolve. At level 146, overwhelmed by the combined might of the Frost and Beast monarchs, Jin-Woo's physical body is destroyed, but his physical death does not result in a game over. It exposes the true nature of the player system. The RPG interface, the inventory screens, and the continuous level-up prompts were never meant to be permanent. They functioned as temporary scaffolding. Exposing an unenhanced human body to the raw pressure of a primordial force would instantly tear it apart. The system was engineered to synthetically expand the limits of a frail human vessel over time. He was being methodically prepared to house the overwhelming power of Ashborn, the original monarch of shadows. Physical death serves as the final operational trigger. The mathematical scaffolding of the system shatters, dissolving the interface into formless, flowing dark energy. By inheriting Ashborn's full, unmitigated power, Jin-Woo discards all mathematical confines. There are no more stat factors. There are no more experience points. The structurally capped, bottom-tier E-rank hunter who struggled to survive against standard beasts now possesses authority over death itself. The leveling system was an engineered incubation protocol designed to force limitless adaptation within a stagnant universe. It operated flawlessly until it achieved its sole objective, systemless godhood. A true level infinity.